Now, Trump has put out an executive order, signed an executive order to restrict some foreign electrical components coming in. But we got this from the Fox Business. Trump order could force U.S. utilities to replace foreign power equipment. Utilities could face new costs as White House moves to secure the power grid. President Donald Trump. Oh, get this out of here. President Donald Trump's new national emergency declaration could restrict U.S. purchases on and imports of certain foreign-made power grid equipment and potentially force utilities and infrastructure operators to replace equipment already in service as the administration moves to address national security risks to the electric system. Under an executive order signed Wednesday, the Energy Department can prohibit the acquisition, importation, transfer, or installation of foreign-produced bulk power equipment if officials determine the transaction involves a covered foreign entity and poses an unacceptable security risk. The order goes further for equipment already operating on the U.S. grid. The Energy Secretary can require foreign manufactured operated equipment to be identified, isolated, monitored, secured, disconnected, replaced, or removed, potentially requiring utilities and other infrastructure operators to make changes to existing systems. Those provisions could carry financial and operational consequences for the power sector, although the order does not estimate potential costs or identify which equipment or vendors could ultimately be affected. The administration said the restrictions are necessary because foreign produced equipment could contain vulnerabilities, including digital backdoors capable of providing remote access to critical infrastructure. And that was the first thing I thought of when I first heard about this, when I first read the headlines and all things. I was like, hey, they're getting cracked. They're trying to crack down on China. That was the first thing that came to my mind. They're really trying to crack down on China and everything that they're doing. So really, they're trying to make sure infrastructure or manufacturing comes back to the U.S. and we don't have to depend on China for our manufacturing, which is a plus. It is definitely a plus. That means, hey, we're now able to have more jobs for the American people. Um, this, and I believe this will be help us to push out more illegal immigrants to come out, get out of the country. Um, but yeah, I think it'll be a great. It's going to be a great. It's a great move by the administration, I believe, to get infrastructure created, make sure infrastructure is created here in the U.S. and make sure manufacturing comes back. And that's really one of the reasons why when Trump first got in, the amount of tariffs that he released was insane. We'll see what happens, but this is a great first move. A great first move that's already happening and it's in place. So we'll see what happens. We'll see how this goes. We'll see where it goes. But I'm excited to see what happens. I'm really excited for the future and to see more stuff be made here in America. Have the American culture that was exported from manufacturing come back here in the U.S. in the U.S. of A. Right? So we'll see what happens, but we'll continue. The White House also argues that reliance on foreign suppliers leave the U.S. vulnerable to equipment shortages caused by trade distributions or other supply shocks. The stakes have increased as artificial intelligence, data centers, and advanced manufacturing and defense production drive greater demand for reliable electricity, according to the order. The equipment potentially covered spans of whoops. The equipment potentially covered spans major pieces of grid infrastructure, including transformers, generators, battery energy storage systems, grid-connected inverters, turbines, and industrial control systems, as well as associated software, firmware, and remote access capabilities. The order sheesh, I can't speak. The order directs officials to weigh reliability and safety, the availability of secure replacement equipment, and continuity of essential service before requiring equipment to be isolated, disconnected, replaced, or removed. The Energy Department can also phase out in compliance. The order does not impose a blanket ban on all foreign-made grid equipment. Restrictions dependent on Energy Department determinations involving covered foreign entities and national security risks, and the department can establish a list of pre-qualified equipment and vendors. The Energy Department has 120 days to publish implementing rules or regulations as needed, providing the power industry with providing the power industry with a clear picture of suppliers of which suppliers and equipment could face restrictions. Trump is also directing the federal government to reconsider how it purchases energy infrastructure. Within 180 days, the energy secretary must recommend changes to federal procurement rules aimed at addressing national security risk and prioritizing U.S. manufactured energy infrastructure in federal procurement. That provision could also have another business impact, shifting some federal demand away from foreign suppliers and toward domestic manufacturers as Washington seeks to secure the equipment underpinning an increasingly power hungry U.S. economy. So, yes, like I said, I believe this is a great play to get manufacturing, to get infrastructure creation here in the US instead of exporting it to another country, especially to China. This is, I believe this is, from what I am seeing, this is a great move to get China, to be less dependent on China for our manufacturing, and to make China weaker than us, to get them to be weaker. And it's also connected to what's been happening in Iran. Like I said, China gets 40, well, not that I said, sorry, but from what I've heard, what I've been kind of just trying to catch up with the Iran war and the Strait of Hormuz, China gets 40% of the oil from the Strait of Hormuz. And with that said, right now with the blockade and everything that's going on and the economic outcast that we're doing against Iran, it is much harder for China to get oil that they need for their energy, for the energy advancement, their infrastructure. It's a great move to, like I said, for me personally, I like to see American industry flourish, right? I want to see manufacturing here in the US. I want to see the infrastructure that gets created to be made in manufacturers here in the US. 100%. This is a great executive order, I believe, and it's definitely for definitely for the betterment of for the US, the economy, to get us back up there, get us to not only be stronger, better, but also to beat all our competitions and to make sure, like I said, manufacturing gets done here in America and American culture comes back. That's what I got to say. But let me know what you guys think down below in the comments. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with everybody that you know. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.